front page of the Ann Arbor News sports section on Wednesday. Buckeyes wide receiver Terry Glenn mouthing off, dogging Michigan. There it is in print. Here it is on tape.
I think we should keep Michigan down here where they belong, just like the rest of them teams, and go up there and just kick their butt like we did everybody else. Nah, I'll rephrase that then. This is a very, very big game. Everybody knows it's a very big game, and this is our rivalry team. So we're going to go up there and treat Michigan as just another team instead of putting them on that pedestal like normal teams would do. And I think now the attitude on this team is that we can beat Michigan. Michigan's nobody, like Northwestern did with Notre Dame. So we can beat Michigan.
A victory in this game gives us a season that we can be very proud of. We feel very confident going in there that we're going to have a great chance to win. When it's all over and we look back at this season, and if we can beat Ohio State, I think it would be a season that we'd all be proud of.
Do you pace? Are you nervous? Do you get butterflies even now?
Yes, probably more so because I'm helpless. There's nothing I can do. You know, I'm just a spectator now.
Except go crazy in the press boxes.
Right, just like everybody else.
People looking at this thing say Michigan's outclassed, Ohio State's far superior. You've heard that before. You heard it in '69. You heard it 2 years ago when they played. Yeah. Can they beat this team?
Sure. I can say this truthfully to you. I've never been to a Michigan game, no matter who they're playing, that I didn't think we could win. Mm-hmm. Now, if we're going to come in, why are we going to have 105,000 here? Because they all think Ohio State's going to kill us? No. There's hope. And you hang in there, Shane. This may be one of the big ones.
Oh. The big game rivalry intensifies year by year. Only the names change, like Hoying and Glenn of the Buckeyes. Concentration is at a premium. Ask Eddie George of Ohio State. Meanwhile, Brian Greasy, Michigan's quarterback, hopes that youth will be served. His charges are nimble and quick. And forays into the end zone soon become maize and blue folklore. It all starts with a meticulous sideline game plan. John Cooper, coach of the Buckeyes, is no stranger to the rivalry. The jubilation of last year's Ohio State victory only served to heighten the expectations in this dream season. On the line for the Buckeyes, a trip to football's holy grail, the Rose Bowl, the 50th anniversary, featuring the best of the Big Ten against the best of the Pac-10. Ohio State, Michigan, next. We're at Mainen Stadium, Ann Arbor, Michigan. They call it, folks, the Big House, Michigan Stadium, as ABC Sports College Football and the Big Ten present Showtime. Number 2, Ohio State against Michigan. It is the type of Saturday afternoon that often defines the intensity and passion that is college football. Good afternoon, everybody. Mark Jones in the Big House, and welcome to the biggest game of the year in the Big Ten. Michigan comes into this game pointing at history. You see, its last two coaches, Bo Schembechler and Gary Moeller, both defeated Ohio State on their first try. Ohio State, meanwhile, for all its success, has not been to the Rose Bowl since 1984, and they want to go in the worst way. Here's a look at the bowl scenario. If Ohio State wins, they make the trip to Pasadena. If Michigan wins, they go to one of those 3 bowls. In the event of a tie, Northwestern makes the trip out west. Here's why. The Wildcats are at 8-0, Ohio State at 7-0, but the Buckeyes have the better overall record.
Flutie flushed, throws it down, caught by Boston College. I don't believe it. Oh. It's a touchdown. It's up. Destin to the right.
Lets it go. He's got 3 people down there. The ball's up in the air. Caught. Touchdown.
Welcome everybody to the College Football Retro Show. I'm your host, Dan Murphy, along with my co-host, Brian Barnes. And Brian, today we're going back to 1995. We continue our Ohio State-Michigan marathon, and we're going back to the 1995 Michigan-Ohio State game. This was the one you really wanted to pick and wanted to do. What jumps out at you for this game, Brian?
Well, I was a senior in high school, and so I remember this game vividly. And it was during a time of this rivalry that, it's very similar to now, where Michigan was dominating, and John Cooper was the head coach at Ohio State. He'd been there since 1998, and he lost the first 4 games against Michigan, and then finally tied them in 1992. And then 1993 was very similar to 95 in terms of this game. Ohio State was coming in, and Ohio State had a chance to go to the Rose Bowl, but lost and got shut out 28-0. And so Wisconsin went to the Rose Bowl, and he finally beat Michigan in 1994. And so there was kind of a good feeling going into this game. And obviously Ohio State was just loaded, number 2 in the country, and were just murdering their opponents. And so there's a lot of hype coming in this game. And like a lot of years, the question was, hey, will the underdog be able to compete and win this game? And of course they did. So there was a lot of intrigue behind this game.
Yeah, it's not one of Michigan's top teams. Obviously, they, a little bit of a down year for them, but they were going in, like you said, trying to be the spoiler, and that you would see that quite a few times in this rivalry, whether that Michigan would go in to try to be the spoiler, and they would spoil Ohio State's season quite a few times. And John Cooper gets a bad rap for, I don't think a lot of people respect him as a great coach, but they should, because man, did he have some unbelievable teams at Ohio State, and it had some unbelievable seasons. But man, so many times, and this would be another one in 1995 where he just could not find a way to beat Michigan.
Correct. And again, his teams were loaded. Like, he was a fantastic recruiter, always had top talent on both sides of the ball. And in this game, it definitely showed out as well. And, Michigan, that was an intriguing season for them. So it was Lloyd Carr's first year. He had that great, they had that great comeback week 1 where they beat Virginia 18-17. And I remember watching that game, and then played pretty well for a while. And Michigan's first loss didn't come until October 7th, when they lost at home to Northwestern. And that was kind of the first time with Northwestern, right? Because they had that really fantastic year out of nowhere. And people were wondering if they were a fluke. They beat Notre Dame that year, but then lost to Miami of Ohio. But after they beat Michigan in Ann Arbor, it was kind of like, okay, Northwestern is legit. But other than that, Michigan's only other losses were at Michigan State, Nick Saban's first year at Michigan State, and at Penn State. So it wasn't like Michigan was like extremely down. I mean, right? But yeah, still a surprise nonetheless.
Yeah, this would be Brian Greasy's sophomore year, and he struggled quite a bit. He would struggle in this game, and he'd struggle throughout his career until 97, where he finally, kind of came into his own and took the reins. And obviously, they would go on to win a national championship that year. But in 95, there was a lot of talk, like, okay, is this going to be the guy? Is he capable of being a Michigan quarterback? And we would see in this game, this was not a great game for Brian Greasy, to say
no. And if you remember, though, he didn't start the season as a starting quarterback. That was Scott Dreisbach.
Dreisbach, yeah.
Freshman, right? Not until he got hurt. I want to say the 5th or 6th game of that season is when Brian Greasy kind of took over. And yeah, he was kind of hit or miss, even in the 96 season into the 97 season. So I agree with you, but he did what he had to do this game, which basically was handed off, to a game of the ages by, I won't give it away completely, but he did what he had to do to win the game.
And we saw in the open there, Brian, I had forgotten about this part. I think in 95, all I think about is Tim Biakbatuka. I mean, over 300 yards. I mean, he dominates the show. Just completely dominates this game. One of the great running performances we've ever seen in college football, let alone in this rivalry. But Terry Glenn, a superstar receiver, superstar in college football in 95. Man, you never. I always think like bulletin board material and that type of stuff is overrated, but every once in a while, a player will say something and it just galvanizes an entire team, an entire locker room on the other side. And this was definitely one of those moments when Terry Glenn just said some stupid stuff in the media that week, and basically called Michigan nobody, and Michigan just took that and ran with it.
Well, I think because, back then, like in this rivalry, there is a mutual respect there, of course, right, from between both programs, but you just didn't hear it that often. Like, obviously, one of the other games we're going to talk about, the 1986 game, there was, a statement made, right? A guarantee, maybe, right? But even then, not a lot, because there was mutual respect, and you don't want any more bulletin board material. And in theory, you're right. In the game of that magnitude, there shouldn't really be any extra added, additional motivation. But it for sure, yes. The players after the fact, and I remember even watching that Terry Glenn interview as a kid and being like, "Oh boy, like it's going down." And he probably regrets it to this day. And for sure. The other thing that's, you mentioned that in the Biakatugi game, but the other thing that stood out was Charles Woodson was a freshman. And he was how good he was even as a freshman, which isn't a surprise nowadays when you see freshmen really doing well. But even back then, you could tell he was a dude and he was legit. So,
yeah, he would have 2 interceptions in this game, and you'll see him in a post-game interview at the end of this, and it's just like, man, he just looks so young, and obviously he was, but it's striking. Like, man, what. He obviously has a great game in this game, but at that point, little did we know like what a superstar eventual NFL Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner, all the things that were going to come his way going forward.
The amount of talent in this game alone was like just mind-boggling, right? We had talked about that. We talk about that every game we cover, obviously, but this game was. I mean, we got an NFL coach out there playing. We've got Pro Bowlers, we have local flavor, guys I went to high school with, guys that went to your high school. It was pretty awesome. And Brian Griese eventually started in the NFL for the Denver Broncos and did some things. It was just amazing talent.
Yeah. I mean, and you could really pick any game from this rivalry and say, man, what an incredible amount of talent. Because these are 2 of the best programs in the country, and they routinely, year in and year out. And that's why this rivalry is so special. And many view, and I view it as the best rivalry in sports, because you get so many classics between these 2 teams, and it's always, there's always storylines, there's always things that wrap around the game itself, and then you finally get to the game, and more often than not, these games deliver. And so many oftentimes you get all this build up to the game, and the games don't deliver. But this rivalry, more often than not, the game on the field actually delivers for all the build up that they get.
Yeah, I'm going to get accused of just being a Michigan State fan, and when I say this, but gosh, I would love to watch an Alabama-Auburn game once in my life, especially when it was at the neutral site situation. Now they play the home and home, but I would like it to compare it to that, because everything I hear is like down there, it's like, just extreme hatred. But I'm with you. Like, in terms of the games that have gone down to the wire and have meant so much, I think that's the big thing in this game is so many times the winner of this game, either college football playoff, national championship game, right, or Rose Bowl, which was that was the
or
only
just
thing.
a straight up Big Ten championship. Obviously before Big Ten championship game was a thing. Like this determined, more often than not, who the Big Ten champion was going to be.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's why this game is so significant and so important, I think, is simply because of what the outcome matters, right? How much it matters to college football.
And oftentimes it's, whoever wins the game, like it's just a straight up Big Ten championship game. But there's also a lot of times where, and this is one of those times where one of the teams is playing spoiler, where Ohio State is trying to win the Big Ten championship and go to the Rose Bowl, potentially be, play for a national championship, where Michigan is trying to spoil Ohio State's season. If Michigan can spoil it, it would be Northwestern that would go. And it's actually, they show Northwestern, there's in some like auditorium or something watching the game, and they keep, kind of flashing to them because there's so much on the line for them. Obviously, if Ohio State loses this game, it's Northwestern that's going to go to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let me ask you this, because I think what makes a rivalry too is when it's kind of back and forth. You know what I mean? Like Duke Carolina in basketball, like one team, can have a run and be a little bit better, but the other team is going to respond. Kind of like Michigan State basketball, although I feel like Michigan State has dominated that. They've had a little bit more success, but Auburn, Alabama, before Nick Saban got to Alabama, I still think Alabama, you would say, has the upper hand in that rivalry. But there was a span before Nick Saban got there where Auburn had a run. But since then, it's just been all Alabama, right? So let me ask you this, Dan, as a Michigan fan growing up, do you like it when Michigan is or one team is, has dominated a series for a few years in a row, like right now? Right? Or do you, okay, obviously you want Michigan to win, but like, is the game better and more enjoyable to watch knowing that like Michigan has gone on a little run, or when Michigan is the better team going into it? Or do you kind of like it when it's like back and forth? It adds more intrigue and adds more.
I prefer when it's back and forth, but it honestly doesn't matter as long as that game, the stakes are as high as they possibly can be. And more often than not with Michigan, Ohio State, especially I feel like we're in almost a golden era of this rivalry. Now that the playoff expansion is going to hurt it.
It's
greatly.
Funny.
The last several years have been some of the highest stakes games I've ever witnessed. Yeah. And then you add in all the drama and the storylines and the sign stealing and all that crap. Like you add all that to it, it has made it insane.
You just admitted to everybody that sign stealing happened. Okay, I got it, fair. But
I don't think it's a problem though, because I think Ohio State was stealing signs for years too.
I ran into a parent the other day of an athlete I know, and they're from Ohio, huge Ohio State fans, and I asked him if he was going to the game in a few weeks. He said, "No, you'll never find me in that outhouse," or whatever he called it, and. But it was funny. I was talking about it and, the game, and he's like, well, it used to be a really big deal, but, after last year, I'm okay with it. Maybe it's not as important as it used to be. And it was just like, oh my goodness, Dan, I immediately thought of you in this show. Unfortunately, that's what it's become.
That's why we do this show.
Oh,
that's why we do this show. I feel like the 2023 game was it.
Yeah,
the last one.
It wasn't even a we're still bitter we didn't beat them, and we got to get those guys. Even though we went on that run, we're excited to be national champs, but of course we want that game. It literally was just it's lessened the game a little bit, and we're still national champs, and I was just like, wow, like horrible. And that's on both sides. Like if Ohio State were to beat Michigan and there's a year Michigan goes and wins it, it's still just like right? Like, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
It'll solve it
too.
But you're right.
Michigan went into Ohio State and smoked them.
Yeah.
And Ohio State still got into the playoff and almost won the whole thing.
They were a field goal away from being national champs because like TCU.
They would have smoked TCU.
Yeah, because TCU was spent, obviously, right after doing what they did to Michigan. TCU had to play the perfect game with all their everything to win, and they were done regardless. But unfortunately, man, that's. What's going to fix it, obviously, is when they expand to 16 teams or more. That, of course, will solve everything. That'll just make it better.
Well, what it comes down to now is the games are not going to feel as special, like as the 95 game that we're going to talk about, but, the 2023 game that we were, talking about more recently, like that felt like, man, this is as big as it gets. Like that was one of the highest rated games, college football games of all time, or at least for like the modern era of television. Like that was unbelievable, the stakes in that game, and it's for it to ever feel like that again, it's going to have to be in the playoff.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of sucks. And it could be a neutral site, and that takes a lot out of it. And it's just,
Yep.
yeah. As we always say on this show many times, it used to be better.
It used to be better.
In this situation in 1995, it was better.
Well, I'm listening to one of the college football shows on Sirius today, and what were they talking about? They were comparing resumes of certain schools, and well, you do have to take into account the quality of their losses. You know, these two losses aren't as good, even though they have this better win. And I'm just like, how stupid is this? Like, just break it up into however many 4 major conferences, whatever, 8. Pick the winners and let's go, and that's it. Because I'm sick of hearing about quality losses. Like, what are you doing? Again, the NFL. Well, the Lions had a quality loss last Sunday. So you know what? Like, compare their resumes.
It helped the resume.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, they were talking about Notre Dame and Miami. That's the big debate. And they're like, well, Notre Dame has the better quality losses. What? One of those losses is Miami.
It's Miami.
That's that. Like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? Oh my goodness. So let's go back to a better time, a simpler time. In 1995, November of 1995, Brian, let's go ahead and look back at the teams and the coaching staffs.
Yep. So obviously John Cooper was the coach at Ohio State. He's the name everybody's going to know. And just listen to this. Eddie George, close to 2,000 yards as a running back that year. Terry Glenn, we talked about, was a Pro Bowl receiver in the NFL. Ricky Dudley was a player, tight end for the Raiders for a long time. Orlando Pace, offensive lineman, was one of the best offensive linemen to ever play college football. Also on this roster, Luke Fickell, right, who's now a college football coach at Wisconsin, and Mike Vrabel was a D lineman who had a fantastic game in this game. And Ty Howard played safety. Sean Springs was a corner drafted by the Seahawks early on. I mean, they were Antoine Wigfield, just loaded with talent everywhere. And for Michigan, obviously, like I mentioned, Lloyd Carr, and some of the guys for them who were awesome and played in the NFL. Talked about John Jansen, right? Local flavor, Clawson graduate, now in 97-1. Offensive lineman, All-American. I think he has a career record for starts at the University of Michigan. Brian Greasy, was a quarterback in this game. Tamonga Biakabatuka, other than this game, still had a pretty good, he had close over 1,800 yards rushing and had a decent career with the Carolina Panthers. Amani Toomer and Ty Streets were NFL receivers. Mark Campbell, right? Again, local flavor. Bishop Foley, where I coach, or where I used to coach. Now I'm the athletic director. Awesome. Jeremy Tooman, Jay Remisma, tight end. I mean, they were loaded, right? John Runyon was a young offensive lineman. Jay Feely kicked in the NFL. Just again loaded. Sam Sword, one of my favorite names, college football. Obviously, we talked about Charles Woodson. Dude, I could go on and on. Marcus Ray, safety, had one of the biggest hits that you keep talking about against Penn State 2 years later on the sideline. Just awesome. And again, going into the game,
it's why. Sorry to cut you off, Brian, but it is wildly. You read off those names on the Michigan defense. How many of those guys are playing in the 95 game? They would end up playing on that 97 national championship team.
You're right. David Bowens was another one. Orchard Lake St. Mary's guy. Jared Irons. I mean, you're right. They all, a lot of them, had a say a couple years later.
It shows how good those players were that they're playing so young on this 95 team. And then 2 years later, they're a part of the national championship team.
No doubt. Ohio State, again, they're undefeated going into this game. I mean, they didn't have a lot of close games. Their closest game was at Penn State, and they won 28-25. And, they were feeling it. And Michigan, again, like I talked about, they had that home loss to Northwestern, and then a close loss to Michigan State and a decent game loss at Penn State. So it wasn't like, again, obviously Michigan wasn't talented, but I think it was more so the thinking was Ohio State was so loaded, right, that Michigan, kind of similar to last year, right? Ohio State was just better everywhere on the field, and so Michigan would have a chance. But obviously that wasn't the case, and you kind of felt it early on too, as we will see that Michigan was ready to play for sure.
And maybe this isn't like one of the biggest upsets ever, but What do you think it is about rivalry games that just it allows for these upsets to happen so frequently?
Yeah. I think, as you know, football is such a game of emotion. You know what I mean? It's played by, we sometimes forget, it's played by, kids between the ages of 18 to 22. Now 24, 25. But, back to still, like a lot of young, like Charles Woodson's, 18 or 19 in this game, which is crazy. I think that's a big part of it. And you never know, again, what it's going to be like in that environment. Like imagine, again, I go back to it. Ohio State, they're going to have some guys going into this game next week with the first time playing in this rivalry, right? How are they going to respond? Julian Sayin, right? This is the first time he's coming to the big house, right? And this is the first time he's in this rivalry. How's he going to play? So there's a lot. Bryce Underwood, first time he's playing in this rivalry. So you just don't know, I think, with college kids. And I think that is what makes it pretty cool and great, right? Home field advantage, I still think is a thing in college athletics, not so much in the pros, but I think that's a thing. Michigan State will be rocking that game, especially, right? We expect Michigan to beat Maryland tomorrow. I think there's a lot to it. The game is just, played by emotion and a lot of emotion, and the team that can control that the most, typically is the most successful in a rivalry game. Yep. And like anything, obviously, like turnovers, right? When the favorite isn't blowing a team out, right? And the longer the game goes on, that it's close, you give the underdog that feeling like, hey, no, we can win this game, right? And that is probably what happened in this game that we're about to talk about.
And as it hasn't been as so much the last couple in the rivalry, but historically throughout the rivalry, it's been whatever team can run the ball better is going to win this game. And I think it kind of goes to any game, any big upset. If the underdog can run the football, the amount of confidence you get from that, from an entire team standpoint, because if you're running the football on the other team, that means you're probably out physicaling.
Well, right.
You're bringing the physicality.
And that's I'm glad you brought that up. And that's, again, not a momentum thing. That's like, hey man, we're kicking your ass thing, right? And we're cramming it down your throat, and you can't stop us, right? Which is funny because, again, Ryan Day, the last couple of years, felt like he had to, be the more physical team and show that, right? So I get that angle though. But you're right. The team that can run the ball can control the clock, especially if you're an underdog, getting first downs, right? Keeping the other team's offense off the field. That gets you feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think anytime if you can run the ball like Michigan runs the ball in this game, going over 300 yards, the amount of confidence that gives you as an entire team, but it's also on the other side how demoralizing that can be. Like you just know you can't stop them no matter what you do. You put 8 guys in the box, it doesn't matter. You're getting run over.
I don't know if there's a worse feeling as a coach, knowing you can't stop anything. Yeah,
but especially the run. Like it's one thing if you got some superstar quarterback and he's just putting the ball in a window and he's just I mean, guys are Randy Moss and guys and things like that. They're just out athletic, being just great athletes. That's one thing. But when you're physically getting dominated up front, it's just demoralizing. Absolutely demoralizing to a team.
No doubt. Which is, again, surprising when you look at some of the dudes on Ohio State, including Mike Brable.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's shocking. It is really. I think that's what was the most shocking about. It's not that Michigan won, but just how they were just dominating up front, just completely dominating.
For sure.
But we can go ahead and get into it, Brian. The 1995 Michigan-Ohio State game. We'll go ahead and jump into the deep dive here. It's Michigan is going to get the ball first.
Biakabatuka.
Right up the jump, we see Biakabatuka
the elusive
running.
Tim Biakabatuka. It's Biakabatuka. Good stiff arm.
Jeez.
49 yards out.
So they do end up getting stopped and forced to kick a field goal. But you see early, they missed the field goal here early. But you do see how Biakabatuka is just a man amongst boys out there early on.
Oring's going to pass. Now decides to take off himself. Receivers brought to you by
Bobby Hoying had a career in the NFL.
Up in the slot left this time.
Went to the Raiders. That's the team I remember him the most.
If you want to talk about circus catches, he'll give
That's not a catch
every
today.
time. Terry Glenn complete down to the 19-yard line. 3 points. Backside of the eye. Hoying's going to pass. They set up the screen to Sualua. One man rushes for 23 yards for George so far. 3rd and goal. On the waggle. Hoying brought down to the 15.
Big stop here, 3rd down.
Thompson.
Force a field goal for
Made a
Ohio
nice
State.
play on defense.
You know, that's something else that can be demoralizing to a degree, or uplifting for a defense when you can force a great offense to a field goal.
And he makes it.
Yeah.
Just inside that right upright.
I don't know what was up the kicker there. It's like you just get the game winner of the Super Bowl.
2nd down and 3. Biakabatuka. 1st down, Wolverines out to the 50-yard line today for 61 yards. 3 wide receivers set, and they run it up the gut. Biakabatuka.
This gash again. You just see this
To the
over
7.
and over and over again.
Williams in motion. Play fake into the end zone. Touchdown, Wolverines. Williams.
Obviously, Brian, when you're able to run the football like that, it opens up your play action in your bootleg game.
He can hurt you. 3rd and goal. Glenn is in the
Ohio
slot
State would
left.
follow
2
up
tight
with a
ends
good
set.
drive, but again, they get inside the 10 and they get stopped.
He's not going to get in. The maize and blue
It's
defense
back-to-back drives there,
standing up
Brian,
and
where Ohio
planting
State
their
was
feet
able to get
firmly for
inside the
stop.
10,
Williams
but
ricocheted
they're forced
off
to
the
settle for
upright.
field goals.
Those are
This
small
one right
victories
down
for
the
Michigan
highway.
in the defense. Right there. No question.
Buckeyes now trail by just 1 point. We'll be right back to the Big House. Wide open, Amani Toomer. 1st down, Michigan. Anymore. Here it is again. And they run it against those 8 men. And Biakabatuka.
No, I think the frustrating
space
part
over the
there
left side.
for Ohio State, Dan, is they had a situation where they had an unblocked defender. You still can make the one-on-one tackle. What you want is a defense.
That's the thing. I mean, Biakabatuka is not just running over guys; he's making guys miss in the hole too. I mean, that should have been a 1-yard gain. Instead, he makes the guy miss and gets a 1 gain. Michigan ends up taking a field goal here.
It's good.
Go up 10-6.
Three good drives
and the
to start.
Wolverines increase their lead to 10-6. 3 wide receivers set. Howard the back. Greasy. Oh!
Sean Springs just makes an incredible interception.
Wow. Sean Springs. What a play we just saw. Play.
Mercury Hayes, the ball rips it away from Mercury Hayes.
It's high into the outside, and it looked like Hayes was
going to be a great catch by Hayes.
But Springs is able to just rip it out with one hand. He did that all with his left arm in one motion, pulled the ball out, and in the range of Remy Hamilton's career long, which would be a 49-yard
Ohio State would get
field
stopped.
goal.
They'd be forced to punt.
Greasy to Reamer's.
I think Greasy throws another pick.
Rob Kelly. And that effectively kills any hopes the Wolverines had of scoring on their last possession. Ohio State with the ball at the 32. 37 seconds to work with. The screen pass to Eddie George. You can't sleep on Eddie George. No, sir. No napping allowed on Eddie George.
Nice screen pass to George here to eventually get them set up in the field goal
They have
range.
quick strike capability. Sualua in the flat. Nicky Sualua down to the 20-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Charles Woodson. An 18-yard pickup, 6 seconds to go. His 3rd of the afternoon. Jackson with an accurate toe, 3 for 3 today, accounting for all of their points.
Tim Biakabatuka having a terrific day, almost over 200
stats.
yards already in this
196
game,
yards
195, averaging 10 yards a carry. Now,
Biakabatuka had almost 200 yards, and they dominated in many ways, but you're only down 1.
Well, that's exactly right. He's a great back, but he's not that good. We're not playing as good a defense as we should be playing. We have too many vertical seams in our defense.
What do you tell them right now? You got a national championship potentially out there.
Well, it all depends on how we play in the second half. We got to come out and play a lot better defense in the second half than we played the first half.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
And reflected in the halftime numbers, Todd Blackledge, is those vertical seams, are those vertical seams he was talking about.
Yeah, take a look at the rushing yards now. 213 for Michigan, only 57 for Ohio State, but the great equalizer for the Buckeyes, the 2 interceptions by Brian Greasy. That's 22 yards.
There it is, Brian. Going to halftime, Michigan goes in the halftime with the lead at 10-9, but Ohio State's able to get that late field goal to cut it to 1 point. But Michigan, really had been dominating, especially as we talked about up front, almost 200 yards for Biak Patuka, but it's a 10-9 game.
Yeah, if you're Michigan, you're feeling great. In Ohio State, like this is, again, as a favorite, one of the things when you have a player saying Michigan's nobody, and you're not dominating them at halftime, sometimes doubt can creep in, right? And I'm not saying that's happened to all the guys on Ohio State, but you wonder the longer you keep that underdog around, they feel really good. And I didn't really like what John Cooper said right there when he said Biak Patuka is pretty good, but he's not that good of a back. Okay, dude, like that might be true, but you're getting torched. Well, he's good today. He's better than you're getting torched. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not, bulletin board material, but I don't know. I have a higher standard for coaches, like just be cool. Right. But, you're Ohio State. This is
in his defense, though, I don't think any back is, good enough to be on pace for 400 yards.
Well,
when you're playing against the number 2 team in the country with as many defensive players, future Hall of Fame players that we saw as we rattled off,
he's got a point. Well, maybe he should have, fired his defensive coordinator at halftime. I don't know, but no, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
it is. I get you. It is a stupid comment. Why are you downplaying how good of their player is when he's just torched you?
You don't. But you don't. But no, fair point, Dan. No, fair point.
Well, we go into the second half. Ohio State's down 10-9. They'll get the ball first here.
If there's such a thing.
Got the tight end wide open,
and he throws for Glenn.
There's that guy.
Charles Woodson, a guy who was victimized 4 times by Glenn in the first half, comes up with a huge play for the Wolverines. It's a huge play.
So, Brian, just talking about that a little bit. Ohio State, they're obviously, the talk at halftime was like, we got to stop Biak Patuka. We're getting, 195 yards, whatnot. But you're also thinking like, man, offensively, we are not playing anywhere near to our capabilities. We've only gotten 3 field goals. We haven't been in the end zone yet. And you're thinking, okay, but it's a 1-point game. We get the ball first. We're going to come out. We're going to drive down the field. We're going to get the lead. And then immediately you throw an interception.
Yep. Great teams overcome it. And those sudden change situations, right? And they got to come back and make plays. But, maybe not demoralizing, but definitely frustrating. Like, gosh darn it. Okay, we got to overcome this again, right? And you're right. That is a frustrating part for their staff, and I'm sure for their players too.
Yeah, just like gut punch, right? Right.
Yeah, we always talk like the first drive of the third quarter is one of the more important drives of the game, right? And I've always felt that, again, not from a momentum thing, but just like, no, you want to feel pretty good and get some field position, right? Especially, when you have the ball, you want to get some field position, right? At the very least. And you want to end every drive.
You've made some, like maybe halftime adjustments are a little bit overblown to some degree, but they are a factor. Like they are a thing. Like you do adjust things to your game plan, and you want to come out in the second half, your first drive. You want to show some of the things that you talked about at halftime that you're going to fix and that you're going to adjust. Yeah. Some of the plays that you're going to call in the second half, and to immediately have a turnover it's got to be gut wrenching.
I guess in a way I'm surprised they didn't ride Eddie George as much as Michigan rode Biak Patuka during this game. I
think part of it, Michigan was stuffing them. Like they weren't able to. They did get that nice screenplay before the end of the half there that they were able to get him in the open field a little bit. But I think Michigan's just been dominating. On both sides of the ball.
Hoyen was a good, again, he was a decent college quarterback, and again, he played a little bit in the league, but I don't think he was an elite college quarterback by any means.
No.
So, to your point, with their adjustments and what they were doing and stuff, I don't know. I think I find a way to get Eddie George the ball more, like you said.
Yeah, screens, to get the ball in his hands.
Right. Maybe more heavy personnel packages to really ride him, but Yeah, didn't happen. Not good for Ohio State. And again, you're Michigan. Again, you're keeping it close. You're like, hey, man, this is the best they got, right? This is the best they got. Let's go.
Open area, but he's going to try to hit Terry Glenn. Watch Ricky Dudley, the tight end, get down the middle of the field. Now he's open
here.
right
Dudley's
there.
wide open.
But Bobby
He
Hoying
forces
goes
it
away
to
from the
Glenn.
tight end, and then he
That could be a
underthrows
situation,
Terry
too,
Glenn.
like,
And it's a great
the
play by
scheme
Charles
in
Woodson.
college
Normally,
football
when
was
you
a
play
lot
cover
different
two,
back then.
the corner kind of pulls off,
I don't
but
think
Charles
it's
Woodson
as
ran
advanced.
with
There
him
could have been
underneath
something
it.
where he's like, you know
Second
what,
down and 5.
we're going to our guy.
A gaping hole. Bianca Matuka to the 21. Lloyd and Howard in the backfield. A waggle. Open. Down at the 1-yard line. Greasy over the top. Touchdown,
Greasy gets the
Michigan.
quarterback sneak. So,
He got in.
man, you come right out of halftime, you get the big interception, and then you go right back to the opportunity.
You would think Michigan would be dominating on the scoreboard, and it's picked off. Vrabel.
Here's Vrabel as we
Mike Vrabel with great
phenomenal
handwork making the pick for the Buckeyes. That's a defensive end, folks. 5 to play in the quarter. They come on the blitz. Hoying picks it up. Dudley.
Now, talk about adjustments. That could have been something. They talked about, hey, next time we're calling this play,
George.
like, you know, you're
Yeah,
going
go
to
to
read
the
this.
end and seam.
Dudley versus the two safeties. Yeah.
Second down.
Ohio State was able to score the touchdown there. Not able to get the 2-point conversion, though. So Michigan still holds the 2-point lead.
And 8.
Yep. Ohio State still can't stop that.
That's right back to it.
He doesn't want to go
Dragging
down.
people.
You can't stop him.
And front for Ohio State.
I mean, I don't even think, Dan, it's something where
Touchdown, Michigan.
Ohio State needs to bring more guys into the box, so to speak, right? You just see it. Michigan's just mauling.
Yeah.
For Michigan. A 3 wide
Right.
receiver set on second
Like,
down.
there's a lot of guys close to the line of scrimmage that are just getting mauled.
Number 8. Streets in motion. 3rd and 8. Greasy. Completion. Reamer's mark.
I'm not sure if you mentioned him, Brian. There's
Yep.
another tight end from Michigan.
3. Make that the 1-yard line. Batuka in and still throw the football. 2nd and goal. They give it to him. Touchdown. Wow.
I see Northwestern celebrating.
In Ann Arbor, this is how they do it. Bianca Batuka, 306 yards rushing.
Over 300 yards.
Hoying, complete to Buster Tillman. Tillman out of bounds.
Michigan was
to the
up
33-yard
16
line.
at this point.
Left in the ball game. Ohio State trailing by 16. Hoying looking for Tillman. Now he takes off. They're out of bounds. Has the first down. Although they've got to be very efficient at this point. On the slant.
So they did get the touchdown here. And he's still got about five or 6 minutes left. So the game's not over yet, that's for sure.
So the other difficult part for Ohio State is, remember, in 1995, there wasn't an overtime.
Yeah, this is the 2-point here, making it an 8-point game.
And they convert on it. It's 31 to 23. They're just a 2-point converted touchdown.
Because if they tie,
the tie sent Northwestern.
Yeah,
Northwestern led if it was a tie.
Yeah.
Back in the game. The reverse to Mercury Hayes.
Yeah, that's a great play call.
He got a block from the quarterback. Greasy.
On the 3rd down, they go with the reverse. Get Mercury Hayes, get the first down.
3rd and 6. Greasy. Sacked back at the 37.
So again, Ohio State has to score quickly, get the 2-point conversion. If they want to go to the Rose Bowl, get the ball back.
MVPs of the game are Mike Vrabel from Ohio
There was
State.
Vrabel again with the sack.
Give
Give him a chance here.
The Heisman Trophy. 4th and 3 for the Buckeyes. Last
4th
chance.
and 3 here.
They're still alive.
Get the first down.
Buster Tillman making
So again,
the
Ohio
reception
State's
in
down
Michigan's
8
half of the
here.
field with
Just
the
a little bit over a minute
yourself
left.
and just sit there and have to watch it happen. Hoying finds Dudley complete at the 34. Enough of this fantastic rivalry.
4th and 10
4th
here.
down, 10 to go at the 34. Terry Glenn, can he get it?
There it is, Charles Woodson. Second
special
interception
moment.
of the game to put it away.
Give Woodson some love. Give it to him now. The reaction at Northwestern.
You remember, Brian, how wild was it that it was Northwestern? Northwestern going to the Rose Bowl. They're the Big Ten champs.
Like I said, extremely wild. Yeah, like never saw it coming. After losing to Miami, Ohio, the week after beating Notre Dame, we thought it was a fluke, but then they just kept winning. But I think everybody was a fan of them. They wanted to see them go to the Rose Bowl, and root for them. Where they eventually lost to USC, who was really good. Keyshawn Johnson was USC's best player receiver. Yep. But Northwestern was really good. Darnell Autry at running back. Pat Fitzgerald was the middle linebacker. They were good.
They gave each other high fives.
Finally
They
here.
said he was the man to lead them the rest of the way.
And
he's
it's
done
Lee Carr's
just that today. The
first
Wolverines
Michigan-Ohio State game, and he gets
Ohio
done.
State's perfect season. Michigan winning 31-23.
Now, if this is today, Ohio State's still in the playoff, and they could still win a national championship.
And they're talking roses.
Yeah, Michigan's celebrating because they get in the playoff. It's like the 12th seed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's unbelievable. This victory is the biggest one in
Couple
history.
interviews here.
This year is the biggest victory for us. You rode that Bianca Matuka horse for all it was worth today, didn't you? Yeah, he was unbelievable today, and anybody who thinks that he's not one of the best backs in the country is wrong. John's been a decent season, but you seniors, it wasn't decent until you won this game. Well, that's right. This makes the whole season complete. It's been a great year for us.
Gave us extra emphasis to stop him today. He came out, he dropped a few balls. I don't think he showed up today.
This kind of makes your season, doesn't it?
It makes our season. Yes, it does. I mean, we came out here, we played together, and that's all we can ask for.
It hurts when somebody disrespects you, you know what I'm saying? And you always like, if he disrespect me, I'm going to prove to him that what he thinks about me is wrong. And, man, Terry Glenn came out there, said some things that we didn't appreciate, and we showed them that Michigan is not at the bottom, but we're at the top. I've been playing football for 6 years. Even in high school, I never seen holes that big. I mean, I think everybody here could have ran through them holes and been.
Yeah, early in this year, I wasn't even sure I was going to be playing. To be able to play in the Michigan-Ohio State game and come out with a victory, it's just a feeling that you really can't explain, and I'm just loving every minute of it.
Is there some satisfaction in spoiling the season for these guys?
Yeah, anytime you're playing Ohio State, you like to spoil whatever they
Keep in mind, Charles Woodson from Ohio.
And that's just what makes it such a great rivalry. When you just, blatantly disrespect Michigan, we have something to prove. And I think that our team went out there today and proved it big time.
I'm not going to say that gave us any extra boost. I think just wanting to play this game and having this big rivalry is enough to make us want to play hard.
Didn't hurt, though, did it?
No comment.
When a guy makes a statement about a team and about a program that has as much tradition and much pride, when you tell someone in their own stadium that they're nobody, then obviously that helps you emotionally. And we talked about that all week long, that it was not important what other people thought. The only thing that was important was what the men who were going to be playing in that game on our sideline believed. And they believed. Tamanga was in on Sunday night, and he came into my office. He had a smile on his face. He said, "Coach, so don't worry about me." He said, I'll be ready for this game. I take this game as a personal challenge. And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I want to prove that I'm the best back in the Big Ten." It was a tremendous effort by an unbelievable group of kids.
I don't know if I've ever been as disappointed in my life as I am right now sitting here today. I'm disappointed not only for my coaches, but I'm probably more disappointed for the senior football players on this team.
We had a dream season going. We had a 12-0 season going, maybe 13-0, maybe national championship. We didn't come out and get the job done. We didn't tackle, we didn't do what it takes to win the game, big games.
We haven't lost in 11 games, so kind of forgot what it feels to lose around here. But now we know.
How does it feel?
Horrible. Something you don't want to think about, like a bad dream. I'm still in shock right now. It's like a bad dream.
Is this something you can shake in a month and get up and play again, or?
This is something I'm going to have to shake in a few hours because we have another game we're ready for, and that's about it. Whenever it's Ohio State, Michigan, all the records are out the door. Michigan's going to come in and play hard regardless. And I mean, just all records out the door. It's just like whoever wants it the most.
Did they want it more?
Evidently.
Evidently. Anything that jumps out from you, Brian, from hearing those post-game interviews?
No, I mean, yeah, well, okay, yeah. A different era when the guys are talking about like, yeah, we got another game to prepare for, right? Like nowadays, if you're not in the playoff, it's like, well, we're going to opt out and potentially not play in this bowl game. But Ohio State still went and played in the Alamo Bowl. So they went all the way from Rose Bowl, potential national championship, playing in the Alamo Bowl where they lost to Texas A&M. But all those guys still played in the game. Excuse me. My bad. Ohio State lost to Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. My fault. But they still talked about.
That's right.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, Peyton Manning. Yeah.
Peyton Manning. Yep, my memory escapes me. But like, still, the fact that like they talked about still getting up for one more game, right, and still getting up for the bowl game was interesting. It was Michigan, actually. Thank you. And I remember watching that too. Lost to Texas A&M.
That's right.
Yeah, by 2 points. Yep. So, yeah, that stood out a little bit. That those guys kind of were like, all right, no, we still got to go play, and we're not used to losing, but this is what it feels like. Over the next few years, Michigan went on a little run again. Because remember, this era, I think John Cooper, his final record was 2-10-1 against Michigan, and he beat them in 98, but he lost to them in 96 and 97. And then Michigan won again in 99 and 2000. And then is when the Jim Tressel era kind of took over at Ohio State. And that's when things definitely turned, right, for the Buckeyes. But not this game and not for the next few years.
Yeah, almost a 2-decade run for Ohio State until 2021.
I think
when Harbaugh would finally get that win.
So you remember in the beginning when I asked you, like when it comes to this game and rivalry games, like do you like it when both teams kind of go back and forth over the years, right? Or if one team dominates? Like recently, one team has gone on long runs, right? Like it really hasn't been a back and forth rivalry. Which is interesting.
But it has, I mean, but so many times the games have been top 5 matchups, the Big Ten on the line. Like I know one team, Ohio State had the very long run, and now Michigan is one of the last 4 years.
8 in a row, Ohio State. 8 in a row.
Yeah. I think 15 out of 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
But Michigan, man, those were the Rich Rod years, the Brady Hoke years. That was a rough. I try to just forget
beginning of the Harbaugh years.
Existed. Yeah, I just tried to think that it just went from Lloyd Carr to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
That was a rough patch.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right though. It has been, in our lifetimes, like it's just been.
Which is
not since really the 10-year war where it really kind of went back and forth during that time. It's been these long stretches.
But I think it would be more acceptable if one team like consistently recruited better than the other one, right? Or just had different set of resources that the other did, but that wasn't the case, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, really. It hasn't been more back and forth.
Even during the Rich Rod years, like, I mean, Denard Robinson was freaking good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like Michigan wasn't getting dudes, right? That's just mind-boggling. Just the way it is.
What do you think? There is something that just is mental about it. That a team is like the team that hasn't won it for a while. Like they just put almost too much emphasis on it.
I think there has to be. And you know what was interesting? So looking at our comments on social media today, a coaching buddy of ours who's an Ohio State fan, he was at the game in 2021. And his comment that he said, he's like, during warmups, like you could just watch it and you knew Michigan was going to win, right? I mean, and I think everybody felt that year. Do you remember that? It kind of felt like, okay, like this really is like it. You know what I mean? So there has to be a mental block. Like I think about this. So when Ohio State has, I think they call it their skull session, right? Where they have that big pep rally in the gym before they leave to play the game, right? Whether it's in Ann Arbor or at home, they fire up their crowd and the band is there and the cheerleaders and the team is there and stuff. And Ryan Day, you watch what he says the last 4 years. And I remember one of the years, it talked about we're going to be the most physical team. We're going to represent this state, yada, yada, yada. And everybody cheers. Like, what else can he say? Like, you know what I mean?
What do you say this year?
What do you say this year?
What do you say this year that he haven't said in the past?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going to go to Ann Arbor and get him. You're 0-2, right? Like, what are you going to do? Like, maybe he just comes out and says, hey, like, no, we got a job to do. We're going to go do it. And that's it, right? Instead of trying to rile everybody up because it hasn't worked. So I think he
could talk like how Pat Narduzzi talked when he went to play Notre Dame.
Yeah. And just say
we can lose by 100. It doesn't matter.
Really, that's true. I mean,
and it's kind of true for Ohio State.
It is, except if you're okay. Again, we could go down a rabbit hole. Ohio State, let's say they lose to Michigan, and then they lose to Indiana. Or actually, is Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game? We still don't know that because of the way the stupid tiebreakers are working. But let's assume they lose to Michigan and then lose to Indiana in the Big Ten title game. Are they a playoff team?
Well, yeah, they'd still be a playoff team.
Why now without a Big Ten championship? Like without it, how are they different to any other 2-loss teams?
I mean, are they going to plummet that far if they're losing to?
I don't know. Isn't that weird? Like, I don't know. What if you have 5 or 6 SEC teams with 2 losses? Right? Like, it just sucks. It's mythical. It's mythical.
I think they're still in no matter what.
It's all people's opinion.
I think that's what creates the problem is if they lose to Michigan this year, it doesn't matter. And we saw last year. Like, we thought it mattered. We thought it mattered a ton. We thought Ryan Day was getting fired.
If they lose to Michigan and don't have to play in the Big Ten championship game, they're in no matter what.
It's more beneficial that they lose.
Correct. Which is insane.
Because then they don't have to play that extra game.
Which is insane.
Because they'd be in the exact situation they were last year.
Yep.
They would get a home playoff game to start the first round.
Which is just insane.
They just wouldn't get the bye, which wasn't beneficial because I think every team that had the bye lost.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. Although I got to admit, a home playoff game at night at Ohio State was pretty cool to watch.
Oh, it's cool as hell.
We had a friend.
I think they need to make the second round. That needs to be the switch. Yeah. Like if you have the bye, you still get a home playoff game. Yeah. So like the second round should still be at college campuses.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Because I think that's a huge disadvantage to the team that gets a bye because you're going to play a team that's hot, that's been playing. Sure. You haven't played for 4 weeks, and now you got to go play on a neutral site.
Yep.
It's it's just
Agreed.
They got to fix that. It's definitely got to be fixed.
Agreed. But
hey, any final thoughts on this one, Brian?
It was one of my favorite.
Michigan 95.
It was one of my favorite ones that we've done. It was one of my favorites of my childhood. It was exciting time. I was rooting for Michigan for this one just because I really wanted to see Northwestern. Like, I should say that. Like, I'm not anti-Michigan, Dan. Like, I do. There is some segments, like, I'm from here, right? I have guys that coach on their staff that are friends of ours, right? We've known guys that have gone there and played there. It's like, it was pretty cool. Like, that was a pretty cool game to watch.
Yeah.
And I tried to pattern myself after Biaka Batuka, even though he's a lot bigger and a lot faster than me. So, but he was fun to watch.
You ever have any 300-yard games in your?
I think my closest,
like a little league or something.
No, I think in high school, I think I got to 240 a couple times. But that was not 300.
That's pretty good.
Not 300. I mean, a good offensive line.
300 against your arch rival.
No, it wasn't. No, it definitely was not. But still,
that is, and we can wrap it up with this, Brian. But it is something like you can really put a stamp on your career and your legacy, even if you don't go on to do anything in the NFL. If you have a phenomenal performance in a victory in the Michigan-Ohio State game, like you're going to be remembered forever. You're 30 years from now, you're going to be talked in a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's something. It's something about this rivalry and it's something about college football.
Think about Craig Krenzel, who was the quarterback from Ohio State, who went to Utica Ford High School in Michigan, and he goes to Ohio State, right? And he's like 24-2 and wins a national title for him. Like, that guy never has to buy a drink in Columbus again. He'll never, like, he can just show up and people are going to know him and they're going to take care of him, regardless of what he does in life.
And whenever your name is brought up in Ohio, like that name is brought up, it's people are talking good about you.
Yeah,
you know, like I don't know, it's just cool. It's something that's cool about sports, and it's definitely something that's cool about this rivalry, and it's why we do this show, and it's why we're doing this marathon. And this was one of those good ones. There's so many good ones to pick, and you know, we're definitely got quite a few more that we're going to be doing this week, but this was definitely a fun one. Again, this is the Ohio State Michigan game from 1995, and that will do it for Brian Barnes. I'm Dan Murphy, and we'll see you again next week.